Hey, what is up guys, Omogonix here and welcome back to part 3 of my updated tutorial series where I teach you guys how to make a first-person horror game in Godot. So in this part today, we've got quite a bit of stuff planned. So first off, I want to try decorate the house. So if you didn't watch part 2, I do think you should before watching this. I mean, you definitely should, since in the last part what we did is we made the layout for our house in Blender. As you can see, we even have a basement here as well. And today, we're going to be decorating the house, so let's get to it. So as you can see here, I've got a new folder called Textures. I recommend that you guys make a Textures folder in your game as well. And what I did is I put in a bunch of textures here. So all of these textures are photos which I took in real life, so these are all photos taken by me. But usually when I do make my textures, I usually use Paint.net or MS Paint or Paint 3D if you want an idea of the sort of programs I might use when I do make textures. But yeah, so anyways, let's start applying materials to our house. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to create a new material. So what we're going to do is in our game folder here, I'm going to create a new material, but first off we're going to create a folder for the materials. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to create new folder and I'm going to call this materials. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this materials folder and then I'm going to go create new resource. So now we're creating a new material resource. So what we need to do is we just need to type in standard. And as you can see, we have the standard material 3D. Alrighty, so what we're going to do now is we're going to call this material a name. So I'm just probably going to call it something like house underscore material for now, just because I can't think of exactly what texture I want to use for the house yet. So now when you create a new material, you'll find it in your materials folder. So what we can do is we can just simply double click on this. And as you can see, our house material shows up in the inspector menu, and we can make all sorts of edits we want to it. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to apply this material to the house. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the actual house scene itself. And so what we're going to do is we're going to drag this over to the house, just to this top part here. And so you'll probably notice no change at first, but that's because it's just a basic white material. But now that we've added the material onto a part of the house, let's see what happens when we make changes. So click onto your material, make sure it shows up in the inspector menu with the albedo color. If we set this to a darker color, as you can see, the color changes. So yeah, I applied the material to a part of my house, and as you can see, a part of it is black now. So what we're going to do is with the albedo section, as you can see it says texture empty, you can load up a texture into this bit here. So click on where it says empty, go quick load, and then just add on one of your textures. So I'm going to add on the wood texture, and boom, now this wood texture has been applied. So if you want to change the scale of textures, if you ever think they're a bit stretched, or if you think that, you know, just they're too small or too big or whatever, right? What you do is you go down to UV1, and then you can actually change the UV scale here. So as you can see, I am now changing the UV scale of the house material. So yeah, I've got like these wooden walls and a wooden floor. I think this looks pretty decent. But yeah, feel free to do what you guys want for your house material, whether you want it to be like, you know, brick or wood or whatever, doesn't really matter, just whatever you prefer. Yeah, I think this looks good. Alrighty, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to now apply this material to other parts of my house as well. So like these walls here, for example, which still look, you know, pretty good with this same material. Because sometimes, depending on the scale of objects, you may need to make multiple versions of that material just so then you can scale it differently for each object. But with this one so far, I'm able to just use the same material for all bits of this house so far. So yeah, when you add a material onto a mesh, you can just simply drag and drop onto a mesh. Either that, or what you can do is you can select a mesh. So let's say, for example, I select one of these meshes here, and then you can go geometry, and then where it says material override, you can just drag a material into here, and then that's another way of applying a material as well. So yeah, we've got all the main materials up here applied. Let's go downstairs now. So downstairs I'm thinking of having stone, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another house material. So in my materials folder I'm going to go right click, create new, resource, standard material 3D. And I'm just going to call this house underscore material 2. And basically this is going to be like a stone material for the basement area. So I'm just going to apply this quickly. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but when I applied the material it became a little more wider. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go albedo, texture, quick load, and I'm going to add in my stone texture, and boom, here it is. So I am going to change the UV scale of the material, so I'm going to select the material again, UV1, and I'm going to change the scale of it to try get it right. So now we've got to do the materials for the stairs as well. I'll probably do the same stone material. So we'll go into the stairs scene, and then we'll apply this house material, and yeah, it actually looks pretty good. Although we could probably do a different color with it though. Alright, so let me teach you guys a little trick. So with these stairs here, what I want to do is I want to make them I want to use the same texture, but I want to make it, a bit darker, so then the color differs from the actual basement floor texture. Because at the moment it's kind of just the same. Also just notice it's a bit stretched down here to floor. Yeah, that seems better. But yeah, so anyways, let me teach you guys a trick. So select the mesh of your staircase, or whatever object you want to, and then click onto the main material itself here, and then go right click and go make unique. So what this does is now this has actually separated this stair material here from house underscore material 2 in the game folder. So what we're going to do now is, now that we have our own material for our stairs, whenever we make edits to this now, it won't actually make edits to house underscore material 2 since it's separate from house underscore material 2. So now let's make our own edits to it. So with the coloring, I am going to do it darker, as I said, just a bit darker, just see how it looks. And then I want to change up the UV scale back to something more normal, like this. There we go. Now let's go check, and yeah, I actually like this more now. As you can see, the stairs are a bit more of a darker color. We have a bit of Z fighting going on here, but we can always fix it up a bit later. Then we just drag it over here and boom, that looks pretty good. So now we have our basic house materials all applied. Alrighty, so now that we've got our materials applied, let's now get to doing some basic furniture. So first up, I'm going to make a table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new scene by clicking on this plus icon, a 3D scene, and then I'm going to call this node here table. Or, well, I don't usually like to capitalize my nodes very much, so we'll keep it uncapitalized. And then we're going to add a new mesh to it. So go mesh instance 3D. And then you want to make sure that we select a box mesh here. I mean, you don't have to do a box mesh. You guys can make your tables however you want to. You can even make your table in a Blender if you want to. The reason as to why I'm making my table in Godot is just because it's just going to be a few basic cubes. It's very easy to do with how I usually do tables, so yeah. But yeah, we're just going to scale this down, extend it out. By the way, if you ever want to link and unlink scaling, you just select this icon here, And what this does is this basically just scales everything together if you have it linked up. Otherwise, if you don't, then you're just scaling everything individually. You can just press Control D to duplicate nodes in case you didn't know in the hierarchy. Oh, you can just press Control D, and boom, it duplicates a node. And then I'm going to scale this like a table leg. Alright, there's 2 more chair legs. Alrighty, so now for the material of the table. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new material in my materials folder once again. And by the way, you don't even have to actually even create materials in your material folder if you don't want to. Because sometimes if you're just making a material which you think that you're only going to use for one object and one object only, you can always just actually create the material in the material override itself. So what I mean is, if you click on empty and then click on new standard material 3D, it will create a material for that object, and as you can see, it's not added anywhere into your game folder at all. It's just local to your actual mesh itself. So you can do that for materials if you want to, like if you don't think that you're gonna use material for anything else. However, for materials which you know that are reusable, or that you know you're gonna reuse, then that's when I recommend you make them for your materials folder. Like with this house material and house material 2 here, I probably won't use them for other objects. I just want to show you guys an example of how to, you know, make materials for a materials folder in your game folder. So yeah. But anyways, with this table here, I'm going to give it a wooden texture to see how it looks with a wooden texture. So we're going to go to albedo, texture empty, and I have 2 wooden textures here. I have just a regular wood texture, which I used for the house before, and then I have wood tree, which is like a tree texture. So I think we'll use this one, and then we'll change the UV scale. We could either double it or... Wait, no. Wrong scaling. I meant to do this. How's this look? Yeah, I think that looks fine. And then with the color, I am going to change the coloring as well. So yeah, even if you do set a texture onto a material, you can of course still change the color of that material as well. So yeah, I'm gonna change this to a bit more of a browner sort of texture to get a bit of a different wood look rather than like a grey wood. It's more like a browner wood. There we go. And yeah, so make sure you, when you're creating a scene, of course, make sure you save it as you go along. Make sure you press Ctrl S and save it as you go along. I'm going to save this into my my scenery folder. There we go. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to right click on my material for my my main table part here. And I'm just going to go, well, going to right click, go, oh wait, no, wrong thing. I meant to just click on where it says material override here. Go right click, go copy value. And then with the chair legs, what we can do is we can just select all the chair legs in our hierarchy, go to where it says geometry material override, and then paste value, and boom. Now we have our chair legs applied, our chair leg materials. So yeah, this is going to be pretty much the look of my table. And now what we need to do, of course, is we need to add some collision to it. So sometimes what I like to do is I like to, you know, either like change the type of my main node to a static body 3D, either that or I add a static body 3D child. I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to add a static body 3D child. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go add child node, right click on my parent node and go add child node, static body 3D. So this static body 3D is very important for collision, that's why we need to add it. I'm going to right click on our static body 3D and then type in collision shape 3D. And then where it says shape empty in your inspector menu, you just want to apply a box shape. And boom, there we go. So now as you can see, we have a box shape and we can scale it how we want to. So go into your box shapes resource here and then change the size of it. There we go. Alrighty, so this here is our table. Now what we can do is we can actually add this into our scene. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into my house scene here, and I'm just going to simply plop in the table into the house scene, and then it will be in the level when we go to our level scene. So what we're going to do is we're going to go instantiate child scene, and I do recommend you make sure that you have your main house node selected as well. I'm going to go find table.tscn, and boom, so now we have our table. So I have got my player reference size here just so that I can get a good idea of how I need to scale this table so it's not too big or small. Alright, so what I'm going to do is we are going to scale this table up so that it's more of a size that the player can use. Oh, maybe 1.5. Sometimes it's just a bit of trial and error. Just trying to see what works right. But yeah, I think 1.7 works alright. We can use 1.7, I think. And I'll have the dining table just over here. Could even make the table a bit longer, perhaps. Alrighty, so now let's actually go see how this table looks in the level scene. So yeah, it looks pretty to scale with our regular player here. Because one thing which I noticed is one thing which I forgot is how I scaled down the house in the level scene from, you know, its normal scale to 0.5. So if I go start the game right now and I go try walk into the table, as you can see I cannot walk through it because there is collision because of our static body 3D. And then also we can jump on top of the table as well. So yeah. Righty, so now let's actually get to working on a chair. So what we're going to do is, to make things easier, I'm actually going to go into my table scene and basically just select all the mesh nodes from my table scene. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right click, copy, and then I'm going to create a new 3D scene. I'm going to call it chair, and I'm just going to paste these table nodes into here. And the reason as to why is because this already provides a good base for the chair seat, since you know since this can be the seat here, then we can have the 4 legs for the seat of the chair. So all we need to do really is just scale this down to a certain size, so something like this. And then with the chair legs, of course, we just need to scale these correctly. Actually, I think what we'll do is we'll just get rid of 3 of these legs. Get 3 of the chair legs, so just delete them. And then we'll just scale one of them, and then just copy and paste it around. So we're going to scale this down a bit, and then, you know, make it a bit wider. But yeah, you guys can make your chairs however you like, your objects however you like. You don't need to follow exactly what I'm doing. This is just an example, of course. And with the scale, with the positioning as well, one tip that I want to give is whenever you are like setting a position of something, like a duplicated object on your scene, and you want it to sort of be symmetrical with another object on your scene in terms of where it's positioned on either the left or right, what you want to do is, so with this chair leg here, right, I just duplicated another chair leg, and I want it to be symmetrical with the chair leg that is on the left here. So what I'm going to do is, on my X position, all I need to do is just simply remove the minus, and then boom, as you can see, the chair leg is now symmetrical on the other side. And then if I duplicate a chair leg again, and then I want it to be symmetrical on this side, what I do is on the z-axis I just put a negative out the front of it, and boom. So basically you just want to do the opposite to whatever is being done on the x or y axis if you want things to be symmetrical in terms of where they're positioned on the scene. So yeah, and the same thing goes for the y axis as well, of course, but yeah. And boom, there we go. So I've got the seat of our chair done now, but of course we still need to do a bit more. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're just going to grab these legs here, and we're going to duplicate them. So I'm going to press Ctrl D, and then we're going to move them up. So this is going to be for like the back support of the chair. Copy this mesh here, then scale it down. But yeah, this is usually how I might make chairs for my games sometimes, depending on the game style, of course. Pretty easy to do. And there we go. So now we have a proper wooden chair. So of course we do need to add some collision to it. So I'm going to add a child node, static body 3D, and then we're going to add a child node collision shape 3D. Make sure it's a box shape, and then we're going to scale it. And there we go. Now we have a chair. So be sure to save your scene once you're done, and boom. So we're going to go back into the house scene again, and now we can add our chair into the house scene. So we're going to go instantiate child scene, and then chair. And now it's time to add in the glorious chair. Scale up the chair a bit, just so that it's more to scale. Anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to now duplicate this chair and just, you know, place it around the table. Some chairs. So we've got a dining table and some chairs now. Alright guys, so I was just thinking for a bit, and I was originally going to make, because I wanted to make drawers just before, but I was thinking, oh, you know, I'll just make them in Godot, but I think I want to make them in Blender now, because one thing which I forgot about is how I wanted the drawers to be openable, and I think it would make more sense for me to do that in Blender, to make the drawers in Blender, just because it would be easier, and I'll show you guys why. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move over to Blender, and we're going to make some drawers. Alrighty guys, so here I am in a new Blender project. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete the camera and the lights, and now we are left here with the cube in our Blender scene. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scale this out a bit, just so that it's more in the shape of like a sort of like a rectangular sort of draw, you know, something like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to go Control C, Control V to copy and paste this cube mesh here. And we're going to then scale this in the size of a drawer that we can pull out. So I think the size like this should be alright. Let me just scale this thing a bit down as well. Alrighty, so there's one drawer. Now we're going to go Control C, Control V. And now we're going to just place this on the other side here. Alright, so now we have our two drawers. So now what we're going to do is we're going to select these two drawers again here. Oh, I think it's shift click, yeah it is. So select them again, then go Control C, Control V again. And now we have duplicated versions of them drawers, and I'll show you guys why in a bit. So what we're going to do now is we are now going to select two of these, and then you want to select this little arrow over here to the right, and we're going to be making use of the ball tool. So if you don't know what the ball tool is, watch part 2 of this tutorial series. I teach what the ball tool is. Alright, so now what we need to do is so yeah, make sure that you have your two drawers selected. And then lastly, you want to select the drawer base here, so just like your overall, you know, drawer body for both of your drawers to be inside of. And you want to select difference, And boom, so what that will do is that will create cuts in your draw now. So with these two draws that we have left over, if we disable these, as you can see, there are now holes here, and these are for our draws. So if these two draws that we have left over from what we duplicated, here's what we're going to do now. So let's just move out these draws. So we'll move them out of their little hole where they are. And here's what we're going to do. So I'm going to Control C, Control V one of these. And then we're going to scale it down a bit. Just a bit inside. So basically what we're going to do here is we're going to add insides to these drawers. So now we're just going to duplicate this over to here. And there we go. So now what we're going to do is we are going to select this drawer first. So we're going to select the inside bit, and then you want to select the outside bit last. Go difference, apply all cutters, and boom. So with the bull tool, yeah, it's very useful. You're just able to apply all sorts of cuts you want into objects, and yeah, it's very, very useful, especially for something like drawers in this tutorial. So now I'm going to do the same thing with this drawer here, difference, apply all cutters, and boom. So now that our drawers are done here, we can just simply move them back inside their hole where they belong. So yeah. So now how these drawers will work in game is whenever the player interacts with them, what will happen is they will get pulled out and you'll be able to see what is in there. So of course we can't have drawers without draw knobs, so we are going to add some knobs onto the drawers. So we're just going to go mesh, cylinder, and here we have a cylinder. So what we're going to do is we're just going to rotate it, I think on its y-axis. Yeah, there we go, on its y-axis. And by the way, if you ever want to like change the scale, location, or rotation of your object's transform in Blender without just moving it manually in the scene, you can just select this little icon here, the object icon, and then you can change things specifically to what you want them to be. But yeah, so anyways, let's now scale down this this doorknob. Well, I mean draw knob, I should say. The draw knob. Alright, yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And there we go. So now those are the handles for our drawers done. Also, as I record this video, it's close to Christmas in 2024. I don't know when you guys will be watching this, since as you guys know, I won't be uploading all these parts until I get them all recorded. But yeah. Alrighty, I think that is pretty good for a draw. Not only do the drawers work, like, you know, they have actual proper insides and stuff, but it also looks pretty simple and neat as well. I like it. So anyways, we're going to press Ctrl S, and now let's export the model to Godot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go File, Export, GLTF 2.0, which is the .glb file. So yeah, I'm just going to save this drawers model into my GLB models folder in my project. And then yeah, so when you are exporting models, you know, you don't really need to mess around with anything here. It's just fine to just go export, and boom. Now one thing which I did forget to do is I actually forgot to smoothen out the cylinders here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go Shade Auto Smooth. I'm going to go right click on the meshes, go Shade Auto Smooth. So if you don't know what smoothing does, is it basically just like smoothens out the meshes. So as you can see like the corners and stuff like that of the actual mesh itself, but we can actually go Shade Auto Smooth, and now it looks smooth. You can't see all them parts or anything. So yeah, I'm gonna go export again, go export GLTF, and then save it as drawers, and boom. Alright guys, so here we are back in the project. So what I'm gonna do, is I'm going to go into my GLB models folder, and where we have draws.glb, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right click, go new inherited scene, and boom, so now we have our draws here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go save them into my scenery folder here. Then I'm going to go right click, clear inheritance, so then it's no longer relying upon the GLB model, and boom, so now it is local to this scene here. So here's what we're going to do. So first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the parts of this left draw here, so that includes the draw itself, then the knobs. Then I'm going to create a new, so I'm going to right click and then I'm going to reparent them to a new node, a node 3D, and I'm just going to call this draw. So the reason as to why I'm doing this is so now, as you can see, this is now just one object. All the meshes here are underneath just one node now. So now we can just move this one draw node in order to actually move out the draw and the knob as well. And then we can do the same thing with this draw here too. So you can just select the draw part, then the actual knob parts themselves. Then we can reparent to new node, node 3D, just call it draw 2, and boom. So now, whenever we move both of these draws out, they actually move out. Boom, there we go. So yeah, very simple to do. And now what we need to do, of course, is we need to apply our collision and materials. First off, I'll do the collision. So just right click on your draws parent node, go add child node, static body 3D. You guys know how to add static body 3Ds. Then I'm going to go add a child node to this static body, collision shape 3D. Box shape, and now we just need to scale this for our draws. There we go. Alrighty, so now the materials. Let's finally get to them. So yeah, I do already have a few materials in my materials folder, but I don't think the materials are going to be right for the draws. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go geometry, material override, new stand material 3D. And then with the material here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go albedo texture, wood, and I'm going to use probably the just this wood here for the draws. See, I'll just use this for now. And I'll change the color of it as well. Something maybe a bit darker. Yeah, something like that. And then with these draws here, I was thinking either we could use the same kind of wood that we're using here, or we could even use the wood, the tree wood kind of wood for the normal draws. I'm just going to go wood tree onto this material here. Yeah, I think that looks good. Maybe if we change the color a bit. But yeah, if you ever create a material on an object and you think that you might want to reuse it for something else, like another object you're making in the future, what you can do is you can like right click on it and you can go save as, and you can actually save the material into your materials folder if you want to. So I just called it draws, and now it is actually saved into my materials folder under draws, as you can see here. So now if I want to add this same draw material to this draw, I can just simply drag and drop like that. And then I'll probably use the same material for like the legs of the draws as well. There we go. And boom. If you're wondering when we're going to do normal maps and stuff, don't worry, we will do them eventually. Just right now I'm just focusing on the basic textures themselves. So with these knobs now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to create like a metal material for them. So in my materials folder, I'm going to go right click, create new resource, stand material 3D. I'm just going to call this knob, or we could just call it metal even. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this material to this part of the knob here, and then this knob. And now let's apply some stuff. So with the albedo texture, I'm going to set this to stone. And the reason as to why is because I think stone provides a good sort of like a dented metal look kind of thing. You know, it looks like a metal which is, you know, a bit used up, not as completely clean. And, you know, if you set the metallic level of a material higher, and then you set the roughness to something lower than 1, you can actually get a good metal look, if you want that. And then you can also change the color to something a bit more golden. So then it actually, you know, looks a bit more like a gold sort of metal type thing. But yeah, so that there's going to be my knob. And then we're gonna apply the metal here too. So let's actually see what the drawer looks like from the inside with this texture. Oh yeah, it looks pretty good. It all applied pretty well. So yeah, overall these are our drawers. They're pretty good. And now we can actually go place them around our house. So yeah, let's go into the house scene here. And now we can place around some drawers. So let's get to it. I'm gonna go instantiate child scene, drawers. Drawers.tscn. Might scale it down a tiny bit. Yeah, I think that should be a good scale for the drawers. So I think I'll set drawers over here. I'm going to have them in a few places of the house, it's not just going to be in one place. So I think we'll have drawers over here by the window. Yeah, anyways, we're just going to have another set of drawers in here as well. So we're going to have like 3 or 4 sets of drawers in the house perhaps. And then we're going to have another set here. But yeah, so we've got 4 lots of drawers now in the house. Alright, so the next thing that I'm going to make is a couch. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to once again create a new 3D scene. I'm going to call this couch. And when it comes to the couch, we can easily do this in Godot. It doesn't have to be something we do in Blender. However, you can make the couch in Blender if you would like to. But anyways, so I'm just going to quickly go save the object in my scenery folder. And now let's get out a mesh. So first up, we're going to get out a cube mesh. So we're going to get our mesh instance 3D. Set this to a box mesh. And then we're going to scale this down like so. Like this. So this is going to be like the sort of like the bottom of our couch basically. So now we're going to go right click, add child node, mesh instance 3D. And this time we're going to add a sphere mesh. And so this is going to be like the cushion. And by the way, you can actually in case you didn't know with meshes, I think I explained this in part 1, I think. But if you actually go into the mesh resource themselves, you can actually find options to like turn down the quote unquote quality of the mesh. Like you can turn down the radial segments and the rings, which can basically make the model more higher or lower poly, depending on what you like. So yeah. So now I'm just gonna put this in more with the shape of a cushion, like this. But one thing which I also forgot to do actually is with this here, just go copy, rotate, because we're gonna have like a little back part for the couch. And now let's continue on with these little seats here for our couch. So yeah, we've got our 2 cushions here. I don't know if they're long enough. Yeah, we'll stretch them out a bit. 2 spheres for our cushions. Move it in. Again, you don't have to make couches the exact way I'm doing it, this is just how I do it. and then I'm going to copy, and so basically I'm just gonna, duplicate these two spheres here, then I'm gonna rotate them on their x-axis, so then they're like this. Let's actually move in this back part here. So now that we've got a bunch of our couch done, we now need to add in the armrests for the couch, of course. So let's go right click, add child node, mesh instance 3D. And so yeah, these will be the armrests for our couch. Just going to turn down the radial segment. Change the scale. No, Steam game just finished downloading. Alrighty, so we've got an armrest there. An armrest over here. Alright, so we need to of course apply collision to the couch, so I'm going to go add child node, static body 3D. Then add child node collision shape 3D to that static body, where it says empty, box shape, and boom. So now we just need to scale this out. Alrighty, so there's our couch's collision. And now we're going to do the materials, of course. So I think with this we're just going to do like a wooden material. I mean, let's see how the drawers material looks on this. Nah, we'll do like our own new wooden material. So we'll go add a new stand material 3D to the material override on the geometry tab. Open up the material, go add a new albedo. We will do the tree wood texture, but we'll need to scale it a bit to make sure we get it how we want it. Something like this. 3.88 seems alright. And then of course we can change the color to be something a bit more browner. There we go, something like that. And then we can apply that same material to here as well. Just copy the value of that material, then paste it onto here, and boom. So now we need to do the actual couch stuff. So for this, I'm gonna go geometry, material override, new stand material 3D. And what this will be using for the texture is carpet. There we go. So I think like I don't really like the way this is positioned right now. I think I'm gonna change the way it's positioned, maybe the way it's scaled as well. There we go. It's much better. And yeah, as I said, I might even change the scale perhaps. Nah, we'll keep it the same. But yeah. And I am going to change the color of it too. There we go, it's like a blue couch. And yeah, I'm going to copy the value from here over to this one. And boom. So now we could probably do the same thing. Yep, pretty much. Same thing here. I'd probably rather make this unique, perhaps. Make this a unique material, then yeah, do the offset like that. Yeah, that looks better now. And we'll copy this and then paste it over to this one. Boom, just like that. So now we have these armrests here. Boom. And boom. And there we go. There is our couch. So now we can just go simply add this into our house. Here we have our couch. It's a little small, so we will need to increase its scale. Something like this. So here we have our couch. And yeah. So obviously then we'd have like a TV here, sitting on a table, I guess. Alright guys, so what we're going to do now is we are going to make some paintings. So I'm going to make 3 paintings for our house. in the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to resize my image. So by the way, I'm using MS Paint to do this. I usually use this for a lot of the paintings in my games, in case you're wondering. But I'm just going to set the image size first, so I'm going to do something like 720 by 720. You can do whatever you want to. If you want to have a more higher quality painting, of course, you can do a higher resolution. I'm just doing 720 by 720. And then usually what I like to do with my paintings is I like to select the crayon brush, and then I get to work on doing something random. So sometimes I might just do a basic landscape, or I might do, something a bit more creative. Really all depends. But right now I am gonna just do a basic landscape. Actually, what I might do first is I might do the background first, so then it's easier for me to do the land over the top of it. But yeah, I'm gonna do the background first. Oh, also, wait a second, I just noticed that MS Paint has layers now. I only just noticed that. We'll ignore them for now, we're not gonna use them. But if you want to make use of layers in MS Paint, I only just realized that I had them. But yeah, so let's do the background. So it's going to be like a darker green since it's going to be in the distance. This is just going to be like a massive hill. And then we're going to do some, lighter hills. Some lighter green hills as they get closer. Also, I forgot to do the sky as well. Doesn't matter, we'll ignore that. There we go. And then we'll do it again. Yeah, I think that looks really nice. We could have also added in the sky too. I mean, I guess we can, do a little sky. Alright. There we go, there's the sky. Then we'll add in a sun. And then we'll also do some clouds as well. Actually, no, we'll do something like that. We'll just leave the sun like that, it doesn't need any more detail. There we go. Alright, so that's going to be that painting. That's going to be painting number 1, and then I'm going to do 2 more. So once you are done, of course, be sure to, save as to your game folder. And yeah, you can either save as like a PNG or a JPEG, whatever you want. I'm just going to save mine as PNGs. Alrighty, so now that we've got painting 1 done, I just saved it to my project folder. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go File, New, and we're going to do a new painting. So luckily my dimensions are already set. I'm just going to do a black background for this one. For this painting, I'm just going to do like a skull. Yeah, it's already got the crayon brush set. So yeah, for this one, I'm just going to do like a basic skull. There we go. And then I might even add just a few little red dots in the middle of the eyes. Just because why not? Could even make him look a bit evil. So that's going to be painting number 2. And now painting number 3. So this is going to be the last one. Let's see what I might do for this one. I might do like an ocean or something for this one. See how this looks. So what I'm doing here is I'm just like adding some texture to the ocean. It's a very thin brush. And in the distance I'll have like, I don't know, a whale's tail or something like that popping out of the sea. Then I'll add some like water going everywhere. Anyways, let's save it. Okay, so we've got our paintings done, and we can add them in now. But what I want to do first is I actually want to make like a painting frame, a proper painting frame to put them into. What we're going to do is we're going to go into Blender right now and we're going to go model a proper painting frame. So let's go do that. Alrighty, so here I am in Blender. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove the camera, the light, and then with the cube here, I'm just going to just move it in a bit. I'm just going to squash it in, just scale it in, scale it inwards, scale it down, I guess you could say. And then once you get it to probably as thick as a painting frame would be, what you then want to do, after getting it down to as thick as a painting frame would be probably, what you then want to do is you then just want to make sure your cube's selected, Control C to copy it, Control V to paste, and then you want to now shrink the cube you just pasted, and we're going to be making this our cube, which is going to basically cut into the frame to make the inside of the frame. So how thick this cube is in the middle will determine how thick the frame is here. So if you want your frame to be thinner, then just make sure that your cube almost takes up as much of the bigger cube. But if you want a thicker frame, then make the inner cube smaller. So yeah. Just gonna make mine a bit smaller. There we go. And then make sure the back of your inner cube here doesn't go through the back of the cube. Make sure it doesn't go through both sides. Make sure it only goes through one side. And then once you're done, make sure that you select your inner cube first, then you select your outer cube. And then you want to select the little arrow here, Edit, Boolean, Difference, and boom. And now we have a painting frame. Now you just want to go apply all cutters and boom. So yeah, here's our painting frame. And now to put the actual painting in it, we are going to go add mesh, and then we're going to choose a plane. There we go, there's the plane. So now with the plane, we're going to rotate this, I think on the x-axis, yep, and then the z-axis by 90, yep. And then you want to make sure that this is positioned where you want it to be inside of the frame. Just going to scale mine down a bit. There we go. So here we have our painting frame with the actual painting that will be inside of it. So now we're going to go File, Export. Now we're going to basically export this painting frame as a GLB, so you want to select this option here as we have for all the other models, and then we're going to go export GLTF 2.0, and boom, now the painting should be exported. So now that we actually have our painting frame here, here's what we're going to do. So what I'm going to do first off is I'm going to go right click on my painting frame model, and I'm going to go new inherited scene. Here we go. So now we have our painting frame. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Ctrl S to save it as a regular scene. I'm going to save it into my scenery folder here, just as painting frame. And I'm going to right click on the parent here, go clear inheritance, so then it's no longer attached to the actual GLB model itself. It's now just its own scene, and boom. So what we're going to do now, of course, is we need to do the texturing for the actual paintings. So what we're going to do for this is we are going to, first off, select our outer cube here, and we're going to need to actually add a proper wooden frame material to this. So I've already got a drawers material. I might actually just apply this and see how it looks. Yeah, this looks fine enough. So yeah, I'm just going to use my drawers material for my painting frame as well. And then with the actual painting itself, there's a few options of what we could do here. So either A, what we could do is we could just simply apply a painting here, and then when we actually add the painting frame into our house scene, what we can do is if we want to actually edit the painting that is in the frame, if we want to have multiple paintings in a house, we can just simply right click, go edit children, and then change the paintings as we wish, right? That's what we could easily do, but there is another way of doing it as well. So what I'm going to do for this tutorial is I'm actually going to make a script, which what we can do is we can assign a material to that script via a exported variable, and then at the beginning of the scene when the game starts, that painting material will then be applied to our plane. So yeah, with your painting frame, just make sure you have your parent painting selected. We're going to go new script. And then we're going to go to our scripts folder. Do I have a scripts folder? I don't think I do. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a scripts folder, just a basic scripts folder. We're going to call this general scripts. And I'm going to save my painting frame script into here. Go create, and boom. So now this is going to be very simple. There's not really too much to do here for coding. So near the top of your script, you just want to write @export var, and then you just want to write painting, and then you want to do the 2 dots, and then we're going to write standard material 3D. So this is going to be the material that is for our painting, and as you can see, now we can actually add in a new material here into this exported variable. And then in the ready function, we just simply want to get the name of our actual mesh where the painting will be applied. So for me, it's called the plane. So I'm just going to go $plane, so then we can access the plane, which is a child of this painting frame node. And then we can just go .material _ override. So we're overriding the material, and this will equal to painting. And boom. So now what will happen is if we assign a material here, it will then actually be applied to the painting when the scene starts. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the house scene. See, we are in the house scene, and now I'm going to simply place around the lights, the painting frames, So we're going to go instantiate child scene. Going to search up painting frame, going to select the scene one, and boom, here is our painting frame. So with the painting frames as well, I didn't add any collision to them since they won't really need any collision. If you feel like you need collision for your painting frames, then by all means be sure to add collision. But I feel like for me personally, I won't really need collision. I might though, actually, because the player might actually be able to walk into the bit of the frame here. In fact, actually, yeah, let me actually add collision quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go add a static body child, add a child to the static body, which is a collision shape 3D. Then I'm going to apply a new box shape 3D. Nice. So now let's go back to the house scene, and now we can continue working as normal. So with this painting here, I might just have this over the couch. And then I'm actually going to now apply the painting material to the painting via the script. I'm going to go new standard material 3D. And I'm going to assign the albedo texture as the painting. So yeah, in case you forget how to edit the texture of material, you just click onto material itself, go to where it says albedo, click on the drop down, and then where it says texture, you then apply your texture, and boom. So now I'm going to copy this painting again, and we're actually going to now move it into another position. Alright, so now with this second painting frame, what we're going to do is we're going to now set a new material for this one. But this time, instead of just getting rid of the material and then assigning a completely new one, what we can simply do to make sure that this material isn't the same as the one in the other painting is we can go simply right click on the material, go make unique. Now the material is a completely new material basically. It's just a duplicated material. And then where it says albedo texture, we can now change the texture to painting 2, and boom. Alrighty, so there is painting 3. And then we're going to do the same thing again. We're just going to go right click on the material, go make unique. Where it says albedo texture, get rid of that. Then painting 3, and boom. So now let's actually go test out our game and see how everything all looks. And as you can see, we now have our paintings. So painting 1 is right here. Then we have painting 2 over here, and then we have painting 3. Alright guys, so now that we've done the paintings, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to close these extra scenes here, since I won't be needing a few of these anymore. There we go. Now our little scenes tab, now our little scene section over here is a bit more clear. But anyways, before we do move on, one thing which I do want to say is that with your nodes in your scenes, make sure that you do sort them out and make sure that they are neat and tidy, just so then you know where everything is. So let's say for example you have a bunch of chairs in your scene, right? What I recommend you do is you select them all, then you right click, go reparent to new node, select the node 3D, and then just call this parent node here chairs. And then now, as you can see, the scene hierarchy is a little less bloated. So if you want to actually see all the chairs now, you just got to click on the drop down arrow, and you can see the chairs. You can do the same thing with the paintings and the drawers as well, just to make sure that everything's all neat and tidy. So I'm just going to call this parent node here paintings, and then our stairs as well. And boom. And if you want to even go the extra mile as well, you can select all your furniture pieces. I don't really know if stairs are considered furniture, but we could grab our drawers, paintings, chairs, couch, table. Just grab all your furniture or whatever, right? And then you could right click and even reparent all them to a new node. So you're just creating parent nodes for already parent nodes, and then we're going to call this furniture. And boom. So now our hierarchy looks very neat for our house now. So if we ever want to, access any of these, we can just click on the drop down arrow of our furniture, and then same thing with these inside of here. So what we're going to do next is we're actually going to do closets. Alright, so for the closet, what we're going to do is we are going to open up Blender once again, and we are going to make a completely new object. Alrighty, so here we are in Blender. So we're going to get rid of the camera and the light here, and then with the cube we're just going to elongate this out so then it's like more in the shape of a closet, something like this. And then just like with the painting frame, we're going to be pretty much almost doing identically to what we did with the painting frame, right? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to Control C, Control V, and then just going to move this little inner cube in a bit. So make sure that you do have at least some space between the outer and inner cube. And make sure that the cube isn't showing through both sides. Then make sure that you have your inner cube selected first and your outer one. Select the arrow, edit, boolean, difference, and boom. And then apply all cutters. So now this is the inside of our closet. Next up we're going to be doing a door. So you just want to go cube. Now we're just going to be doing the doors of this closet. Right, so there's our closet door. Make it a bit thinner. So now we're going to be moving this over here. And yeah, so that there is our closet so far. It looks pretty good. Now we are going to do handles too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go add mesh, cylinder. Then we're going to do our little knobs. Go rotate that, then rotate that. Alright, this is looking pretty decent. So this is like the start of the knob, like the handle of the knob, or what I don't know what you'd call that, like the body of the knob, I guess. And then we're gonna do like the head of the knob. There we go. Nice. Nice, there we go. And now we're going to go File, Export, and now we're going to actually export the model as a GLB. Alrighty, so now that our closet is in the project, we can just go right click on it, New inherited scene. Save it as into the scenery folder as usual. Right click, clear inheritance, and boom, now we can apply our materials. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to do the body material here. I'm just going to quick load the drawers material, see how it looks. And it looks fine. Drawers material looks fine with it. And then we'll do the same with the doors. Drawers. There we go. Except with these the doors here on the drawers, I want to make them a bit of a different color just so that they're different from the body. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go make unique. I'm going to go right click on the material, make unique. And then with the albedo, I'm just going to change it to something lighter. And there we go. And I'm just gonna copy the value of the material, paste it over onto this door, and boom. And then we have our knobs here that we need to add the materials for. So I have a metal material here that I'll just apply to both of these. And yeah, as you can see, the knob material is now applied. Also, I will be doing normal maps and stuff soon, in case you're wondering. So what we're going to do for this is, because I think I might want to have the player be able to go inside it, we are going to try to do some precise collision for this. So I'm going to select the body of my my closet. Then I'm going to click on where it says mesh here, create collision shape. And then this is going to be a... should I do a static body child or a sibling? We'll do a static body child, and this will be a tri-mesh, and there we go. So now we have some collision for the inside of the closet, and then with these doors here, we're going to give them their own colliders as well. Except instead of tri-meshes, they're just going to be simplified convexes. And then once you do it for one door, you can pretty much just do it for the other, just by copying the static body that was created, then pasting it here, and boom. So the reason as to why we have different static bodies, instead of just having one static body, then multiple collision shapes, is just because of how, the player's going to be interacting with the doors and stuff like that, so yeah. So now that our closet is all good, we can simply go to our house scene, and then we can add in our closet. So I'm going to go instantiate, and I'm going to find the closet scene, there we go, and boom. And yeah, everything looks alright. We will scale it down a bit though, so maybe 0.9. Yeah, 0.9 seems better. I think we'll go with 0.9. So I'm going to have a few closets in this house. So there's our closet number 1. So yeah, I think 2 closets will do fine. We might even add a, we're going to be adding some furniture down here in the basement soon, of course, but right now we're just focusing on here. Also, another thing which I want to do as well is because we're going to be adding a TV in front of the couch. So I'm actually going to duplicate this table over to here, and we're just going to basically like scale it down. Yeah, I think that's probably fine. I mean, we could also use drawers for the TV stand as well. Actually, yeah, we will. Drawers. There we go. Also, with the closets, gonna go reparent them to a new node, node 3D, closets. Alright, so now what we're gonna do is we are going to make a TV, just a basic TV. So we're gonna add a new 3D scene. Actually, wait, I will actually do this in Blender. I was just gonna do it just in Godot, but I think I will do it in Blender since I want the screen of the TV to be a bit in the TV, if you know what I mean, not like outside of it. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna do the exact same thing that we did with our previous 2 models. So yeah, I'm just gonna like shape this up so then it's like the shape of like a squared sort of TV. This TV is gonna be more squared shape, so it's not gonna be like a flat screen. And then we're gonna duplicate this cube here by pressing Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Then we're just going to shrink this in. and then we're going to move it out a bunch. There we go. And then with this cube selected, then we're going to select the outer one afterwards. Select the drop down arrow, edit, Boolean difference, and boom! Now we've got the inside of our TV. Apply all cutters, and there we go. So now we're going to need a TV screen. We're going to go add mesh, and this is just going to be a plane again. Oh. Alrighty. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add another cube, and this is just going to be at the back of the TV. You guys don't have to make the TV the same way I am, this is just the way I'm making the TV. And then this is just going to be like the little back part here. And there we go, so this here is our TV. What I might do as well is I'll add like a few buttons onto the side of it. A few times. Just create a few buttons, not too many, not too less. Alright, so this here is going to be our TV. It's got 5 buttons on the side of it as well. And now let's go save it into my actual project. So we're going to go File, Export as a GLB once again. So we all know what we need to do now. We just need to type in TV into the search here. Find the TV model, right click, New Inherited Scene, and boom. And now that we've got our new inherited scene, we can now go save as tv.tscn, right click, clear inheritance, and boom. So now with the outer TV material, I do want it to be metal. So we can use our metal material here, but I'll probably change the color of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to like duplicate this material. I'm just going to press Ctrl D to duplicate the material with it selected. Then I'm going to call this metal underscore 2. So this is going to be a different kind of metal. And the reason as to why I'm duplicating it is because I might want to use this different metal for other sorts of objects as well, perhaps. So yeah, so I'm just going to add metal 2 to this. There we go. Then I'm just going to remove the coloring, the golder coloring, and boom. Now I've got just a regular grey metal look. I'm going to apply this same material to the back of the TV. And then with the actual screen itself, what we're going to do with this, so I'm going to select the screen, Geometry Material Override, New Stand Material 3D. With the albedo, I'm going to make this black. And then with the roughness, I'm going to set this to 0.3, something like that. And boom, now we have an off TV screen. So what I'm going to do with these is we're going to create a new material, New Stand Material 3D. Just going to make it grey. And then with the roughness, I'm going to set it to 0.5. So yeah, we're just going to have some basic grey plasticky looking buttons for these. So I'm just going to select all these buttons here and then paste that material, and boom. You can add collision to your TV if you want to as well. Just going to add a child node, static body 3D. Then we're going to add a child node to the static body 3D, collision shape, box. Scale that more outwards. So now our TV is ready. Now we're just going to rotate it by 180 degrees. And then we're going to scale it down as well since it is a bit big. So now we're just going to position it onto the drawer. So yeah, this here is our TV now. In fact, we might even duplicate this table here to make like a coffee table. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to make a rug. So a rug should be very simple. In fact, we don't even really need to make a whole new scene for a rug, you know what I mean? Like, here's what we can simply do for our rug in our game. So what we're going to do is we're just going to select our parent house here. Not instantiate, we want to go add new node. And it's going to be a mesh instance 3D. And then we just want to set this to a quad mesh. And boom, so now we have a new quad mesh. We're just going to rotate this so that it's, you know, flat on the ground. Except we want it to be facing us. There we go. So now all we need to do is where it says Geometry Material Override, We can now add in a new material. So let's say, for example, we want to add in, wait, do I have a carpet material yet? Yeah, I do. Alright, so here's what we can do with this. We can go make a new stand material 3D, albedo texture, and then we can set this texture to the carpet, and then we can set the coloring as we want. So I'm going to do like a, sort of just like a basic sort of red carpet, you know, just like that. Yeah, that seems alright. So what I want to do with this first carpet is I want to have it in the living room. I don't know how many carpets I want to have around. I'm going to rename this to rug as well. But yeah, I don't know how many of these I'm going to have around. But I guess we'll see. So I'm just going to scale this out. There we go, like a massive rug here. So we have our red rug. I might even do one in these rooms as well, or in one of these rooms at least. So I'll select this rug here, and then duplicate it in here, and we'll make it smaller. And what we can do with this is we can just select the material, go make unique, and then we can change the color of the rug to something like, you know, blue or whatever else we want. And yeah. And you know what, we will do one more in that other room. So we'll go make unique again. And we'll make this rug like a green. There we go, like a green rug. And there we go. Purple would look good here. Let's go make unique, albedo. And then we'll set this thing to purple. And boom, there we go. Then with our rugs here, we're going to put them underneath a new node, reparent to new node, node 3D. Call this rugs, and then move it underneath the furniture, and boom, there we go. Alright, so another thing which we're going to do is windows. So how about we open up Blender and do that. Also, I've recorded so much footage for part 3, I'm not too sure how long this part is going to be, or if I'm going to chop it up into a few parts, but yeah. So anyways, what we're going to do with our window is, first up we need to do our actual window frame. So here we have our, basically like our cube here we're going to be using as our window frame. So what we're going to do is we're going to Control-C, Control-V, and I'm going to make 4 smaller cubes. So you know the Windows logo? Well, we're going to be doing sort of something similar to that with the shape of the window frame. So I'm going to get these little windows here. I mean these little cubes here, and we're going to drag them out just so then they're sized correctly and all that sort of stuff. Then you want to basically like duplicate them. So we're going to have 2 on top, 2 on the bottom, and boom. So now we have our window frame here. So what we're going to do is we're going to select these little cubes first, then you want to select the big one after, then select this arrow here, go edit, boolean, difference, and boom. Now we have our window frame. You can squash this in if you want to. Alright, so now that we have our window frame, we are going to need the little, you know, the middle of the window. So we're going to need a cube. So this is going to be like the glass of our window, what I'm doing right here. I'm just scaling it down, and boom. So yeah. So we have our window, and we've got our glass inside of it as well. Then go File, Export, Export as GLB. So now we have our window in our folder, so I'm just going to go right click on my window.glb, new inherited scene, and boom. Then we're going to press Ctrl S to save it in my scenery folder. So with the cube here, the window frame itself, what we're going to be doing is I'm just going to find my drawers material and I'm going to drag it over here. And yeah, that looks good enough. And then with the window here, we are going to be doing a new material for this. So I'm going to go Geometry, Material Override, Empty, New Material 3D. And then where it says Transparency, you want to select Alpha. And then we're going to then select on the albedo color and then turn down the transparency value. And as you can see, this now makes our window transparent. So now we can actually see through the window here. So what we can do now is you can change the color of your window if you want to as well, like if you want to give it a bit of a tint or whatever. Give mine a tiny bit of a tint. There we go. Here is my window. And then what we're going to do now, oh, and by the way, you can add a, of course, we should probably add collision to the window as well. We don't want people jumping through them, do we? Collision shape 3D. There we go. Oh, and also I forgot to clear the inheritance of the model as well. We'll do that. And boom, there we go. There's our window. So what we can do now is we can actually place this around. So we're going to go level. Oh wait, no. The house scene, I mean. So we're going to go house, instantiate the window into here. So here we have window.tscn. So now our house has a proper window, as you guys can see. So now we've got 4 windows, and you know, this house is starting to look really, really good now. Like, I don't know why, but as soon as we applied the windows, it just started to look a lot more better. I don't know why, but it just did. Yeah, that still looks fine. Still usable. Alrighty guys, so those there are all our windows, I'm pretty sure. We'll of course include them under a parent object. Call them windows, and boom. Let's actually quickly play through and see how everything all looks. So here we are. This is the house. It's looking pretty good so far. Everything is looking pretty good. Eventually we will get to doing the lighting and stuff as well, so yeah. Alrighty guys, so next up, let's do some basement stuff. So right now the basement is pretty bare, but I do want to have some pillars and walls around here. So what I'm thinking of doing, can we just like... Oh wait, yeah, well, no, we are in our house scene. I was going to be like, wait, are we in our house scene? Yeah, we're in our house scene already. So yeah, we can just like grab one of these walls here, for example, and I was thinking that maybe we could just like duplicate it down here. So just Control D, and yeah, we could probably like duplicate these rooms from up here down here perhaps. So that's what I'm doing right now. Bit lower, there we go. Just making sure it's not sticking out through the floor there. Alrighty, so that's one little room there. I think that's a good size. And we'll probably do just one more as well, and then we'll add like a few pillars. So what I'm gonna do now, just gonna wait, no, yeah, we'll include it in the meshes node here. So we'll go add child node, mesh instance 3D, and then a cylinder mesh I'll use, and I'm going to make the radial segments lower, so maybe something like 24. Yeah, that's alright. And then of course we can scale it up. Alrighty, then we can add a material to it as well. Alright, so I'm thinking that we could use sort of stone, except not like not that specific material. I'm just going to duplicate this one, house material 3 we'll call that. Apply it to here, and then we'll make edits to the material as needed. Alright, so now we're going to apply some collision, of course. I'm just going to go to where it says mesh, so I'm going to have my my pillar here selected. Where it says mesh here, I'm going to select this, create collision shape, static body child, simplified convex, and boom. Now we have some collision for our pillar there. There we go. So yeah, now the basement is looking less empty, and it is more lively now with these pillars. And then with these stairs here, we could probably add a pillar underneath them too. I know it's quite an odd way of holding up stairs, but you know, you guys can do what you like though. Alrighty, there we go. Alright guys, so we're almost at the end of part 3. I think I mentioned in this tutorial that I was going to do a door system, but I'm going to leave that for part 4, which I will be recording after this, so yeah. So what we're going to do to end off this part is we are going to be making a bed in Blender. So fun fact, I've never actually made a bed in Blender before, so this is going to be the first time I'm doing this as well. Usually whenever I make beds in my games, they're usually very like basic and blocky, but this time we're going to be doing something a bit different, so let's go for it. Alrighty, so here I am in a Blender scene. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the camera and lights. Then I'm just going to use a basic cube here for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to usually structure my beds the way I usually do when I make them. Whenever I do make my beds, because they're like so simple to do, I don't even ever use Blender to make them. I just use in-engine primitive objects and stuff. You know, just cubes and, you know, spheres for the pillows usually, or something like that. Also, I do hope that this series is helping you guys out with, you know, using Blender and stuff. Like, I'm not a professional of Blender. Like, you know, modeling isn't my main skill set. But, you know, I have been getting better over time, I think. Alrighty. So, these bed legs look a bit big. Alright, yeah, no, that's a much better size for the bed legs. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to Control-C, Control-V this cube. But yeah, I was clearing my throat before, but what I was trying to say is, I feel like I've gotten better with modeling over time. Like, yeah, I'm not a professional or anything, but yeah. So anyways, let's actually get to the blanket. So what we're going to be doing here, so first off I am just going to save my model. I just called it bed.blend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the edit mode with my blanket selected, so do make sure that you do have your blanket selected. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to go subdivide. And I'm going to subdivide it multiple times. There we go. So the reason as to why I'm subdividing it is so then we can actually have some more, you know, some more faces to work with here. And then, when we actually sculpt, as you can see, we now have changes being made to our mattress. So now it's actually got more bump on it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to now add some bump to our blanket here. So you guys can follow along and do this as well if you want to. Might even want to apply some here as well. Just add a bit more shape. But yeah, so as you can see, this blanket here is now looking a lot more like a blanket and less like a cube. So if you're looking to, you know, make a basic bed in Blender, well, this is probably a good, decent way of doing it. You know, if you're someone who just wants to do something a bit more basic. Actually, I just realized I should probably undo what I just did here, because I just realized that I was a bit too strong with the brushing here. But yeah, sculpting in Blender is pretty fun. Do a bit down here as well. And there we go. So that's going to be my blanket. You know, you guys can do as much, you know, detail as you want to. So what I'm going to do now is I'm now going to then just go shade smooth. So right click, go shade smooth, and boom, now that looks a lot better. So now we're going to do pillows. So pillows should be relatively easy. In fact, we'll use cubes for pillows, just like how we did for the mattress, because I feel like we can get good shaped pillows doing the sort of same method of what we did before, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to do a similar thing to what we did before. So make sure you have your cube selected, subdivide, 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 and now this will be our pillow. So now we're going to be sculpting it, so then it's more, you know, bumpy like a pillow, more shaped like a pillow. Wow, this pillow is actually looking... Wow, this looks a lot better than I thought it would. Damn. I might actually start making beds like this from now on in my games. I don't know why I never did beforehand. Like, damn, it's actually a lot more easier than you think, huh? Alrighty, so once I'm done making my bed, I'm now going to do the usual exporting. So we're going to go export GLTF 2.0. Alrighty, so now my bed should be exported, so let's close Blender, and boom, yep, we've got our bed. So here is our bed. Now what I'm going to do is I'm then going to go new inherited scene. Boom. Here is now our bed. So now let's apply some texture to it. Okay, so we're going to go create new standard material 3D. And we'll just go select, oops, carpet, that's what I meant to select. And there we go. So there is now our carpet texture. And then we're just going to then color it how we want to for our bed. So I'm going to make it red. And then what I will do here now is I will copy this material override, copy that value, paste it onto here, but then I'll just remove the albedo coloring. Oh, sorry, I meant to right click onto this and go make unique first, and then we can remove the albedo coloring. And boom, so now we actually have our mattress color, although it's looking a bit squashed. So what we could do about that is we could scale the UV. There we go, that looks better. So I'm just going to save this into my scenery folder. There we go. And then let's just you know, copy this material override over onto the pillows as well. Go paste, paste, make unique. Actually, then copy this value over then this pillow, so then they're both the same after making this one unique. So with the pillows, I'll make them like a yellowy sort of color, I guess. Actually, I don't really like that. Yeah, we'll just leave them as like as white as possible. I think what we'll do for the mattress is we'll make this a different color. So we'll make this like you know, like a dark red or something. Yeah, there we go. And then of course we need the bed legs. We cannot forget to do them. So we can apply the house material. Yeah, that applies pretty well automatically. We'll just apply that onto these legs here. And then we'll do what should we do with this one? We could use the metal one. Yeah, we'll use the metal material for this. Alrighty. So now what we're going to do is we're going to right click on the parent scene here, then click where it says clear inheritance, and it's no longer inherited by the GLB models, and it's just, you know, tied to its own scene here. And yeah, so now let's add collision. Alright, so now let's scale out this collision shape here. Alrighty, there we go. So let's go back into our house scene here. Then in our furnitures node, we're going to then go instantiate child scene. Then we're going to add bed.tscn, and boom, here's our bed. So what I am going to do is I'm going to try scale it to the size of our player size reference here, just so then the bed isn't too big or too small. So I think that is a decent sized bed. We can go with that. Alrighty, so now let's go add this into the room here. And also we can always change up the material of the bed too if we want to, because, you know, let's say for example, you know, you have a few different beds in your house, right? It wouldn't really make sense for all them beds to look exactly the same. So if you ever want to like edit the materials, you know, let's say for example you have like a bed, right, and you want to, you know, change the bed sheet color of it or the pillow colors or something like that, right, so then the beds aren't all the same. What you could do is you could just go right click, edit editable children. So you just want to tick editable children, and then you can just go to your your mesh, and then you can just click onto your material, go make unique, and then that will allow you to then make edits to the material as you wish in your scene. And that won't actually affect what goes on in your main bed scene either. It will only affect the bed in this particular house scene. But yeah, just a tip there for you guys. There we go. That should be alright. And then for the bed in this room, I'm thinking of, changing the color of it. So I'm gonna make the one in here yellow, or more like, probably yellowy green actually. Also, we will be applying normal maps in soon too. You might be thinking to yourself, when are you gonna do normal maps? Don't worry, I will be getting to that at some point. So what I'm gonna do now is I am going to test out our game and see what's going on so far. So here we are. And boom, here's the house. And here's our player size reference. We can disable that if we want to, but yeah. And then here's our beds. We can actually, hop on top of it. Overall, things are looking pretty nice right now. And that there, guys, is going to be the end of part 3. So if you guys did enjoy this tutorial, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Thank you all for watching. And yeah, so part 4, hopefully it is out now as you're watching this, since as I've said before, I do plan to, make sure all these parts are uploaded one after another, since I want to edit them all and then upload them, so then you guys don't have to wait long at all. But yeah, so overall, things are looking pretty neat. And yeah, so what I was just thinking to myself, maybe I shouldn't end this part, because I should probably add some furniture into the basement, but I might can do that in the next part. But yeah, so anyways guys, thanks for watching part 3, and I'll see you all next time. Hopefully you've all learned stuff, and bye bye.